Hello and welcome to our conversation with Kelly Stumpe, aka the Car Mom. Kelly, thank you so much for sitting with us and having a chat with us. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It is it's my first NADA as a speaker, walking the floor. So I used to work for a CRM. I used to work for dealers, so I would come. I used to work for a CRM and I would work as an exhibitor, and now I'm at this totally other side of it where I'm speaking tomorrow, which is very exciting.
So talk to us about that. What are you speaking about tomorrow?
Yeah, so we're talking all about building your brand, and one of the main focus of, I think the easy way to build your brand is to do it through social media. And I want to kind of change the perception that social media is this casual, easy, quick kind of things. And I want dealers to instead focus on more the content aspect of it, because content, like automotive news, can be then delivered into so many different platforms. So don't think about it like making a video for social media. Think about it like making a really incredible piece of content, and then all the ways you can repurpose that to help your sales process, help your service, help your customer retention, everything like that. So I'm gonna be sharing some high level stuff, my story. I'm gonna get really granular with the tools that I use and what I think every dealer should be doing on their social media.
Okay. Well, we don't want to spoil anything for anybody that's going to be going to your that's going to be going to your conversation tomorrow. So we just want to know just a little bit. So you talked about social media a lot and growing your audience and everything like that. So what I want to know from you, I want to know your beginning. How'd you get into social media? But also I want to know what your background is with automotive. So can we start there?
Yeah, people are always very surprised to find out that I come from a dealer family. So my family owns 5 car dealerships in the St. Louis area. I started selling cars in 2016, and I loved selling cars. It was the most fun job I ever had. It's still probably my favorite job in the world. But when I became a mom, retail auto got tough. The hours are difficult, especially balancing motherhood. So my husband gave me the idea to just focus on moms. And, a lot of my friends were becoming moms, and I was always on the Facebook pages, and everyone's asking, what's the best mom car? And car seats seemed so overwhelming. I was like, that's a pretty good idea, Tyler. I'll just focus on the moms. And I think he meant take my minivan to my park play date and try to just sell all these moms. But as soon as I started researching who's reviewing cars for moms, what is the best mom car, what's the best family car, I realized there was such a lack of content for families out there. So I got started with the car reviews. I just basically looked at what I had, which was used car locks and a couple of kids. And I was like, okay, we're gonna start filming these tours. So the tour aspect really took off, but then along the way, because I have such that background and that passion for retail auto, I started sharing car buying tips and just really educating the consumer about what they can expect when they hit a dealer's lot from a very pro-dealer approach. I mean, I think a lot of other car coaches out there love to breed a lot of fear into people because fear sells. So it's dealers are the worst. You're gonna get screwed over. Here's what's gonna happen. And my approach is well, you're probably not. Here are some major red flags, but here's everything you can do so that you feel good about the deal that you're about to sign. So that's kind of how I got started, and that's kind of where I am.
Awesome. So tell us, when did you start the Car Mom, and how much growth and success? Well, you've seen a lot of success, but how much growth have you seen from when you started to right now?
So I started in June of 2020. I was about 15 weeks pregnant with my second. And my goal was, when I started it, I really believed in the idea of this. And I thought, okay, I think this thing could have legs. I got my first 1,000 followers pretty quickly. And I made myself the goal to, by the time my daughter was born, I wanted to have 10,000 followers. Because I felt like if I had 10,000 followers, I could make the case and hopefully somehow be monetizing it, that I could not go back to working at the dealership, and I could do that full time. And the day my daughter was born, I had 14,000 followers. So I was just over it. And that was in October. And by that March, I was at 100,000 followers. And now, almost 4 years later, we're about to hit 500.
That's amazing growth. And especially, this seems like you started kind of in the middle of the pandemic.
I started in the pandemic.
Yeah.
I kind of just, dealerships were deemed essential.
Yeah.
So I was going to work every day, and I was feeling the things that I think all moms across the country were. I wouldn't even take my toddler to the grocery store. Right. I'm how are these moms supposed to go to a car dealership? Yeah. So I said, I'm just gonna save them some trips. I'm gonna show them if the stroller fits. I'm gonna show them if the car seat fits. And I just really started the Car Mom with the intent to just make helpful content. I didn't know where it was gonna go. I didn't know how it was gonna monetize. I just thought if I made really good content and captured an audience, I would find something to do with it.
That's awesome.
And we have.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I understand that Instagram is your main platform that you like to focus on. Why Instagram?
Yeah, I think when I started, I was like, okay, I want to be a car reviewer. All the car reviewers are on YouTube. So I actually tried and failed to start my YouTube channel first because I'm not a YouTuber. I don't know how to use it. But I was there rocking my baby every single night, scrolling Instagram. And I was like, well, this is where my audience is. Like, this is where the moms are. I don't need to be anywhere else. I already know how to work this platform. So I started on Instagram, and that's just been very fun to get to show so much of my personality because there's so many different types of content you can put out there. But as the business grows and as our content, as we make more and more content that I feel like needs a longer shelf life, we're really investing in our website, in YouTube, in the podcast, so I can just make sure the content's very searchable. So Instagram's my favorite because it's the most fun for me to connect to my audience. But I think it's really important. Well, the problem with Instagram is it's not a search tool. You can't search like, is the Volkswagen Atlas a good family car? Right. You can search that on YouTube. You can search that on Google.
And TikTok.
And even TikTok. So it's making sure that the content I create on Instagram can then go to another platform and, live longer and become more searchable on other platforms.
Okay, so do you repurpose that content and do you put it on TikTok as well?
I don't believe in TikTok.
No?
No, I don't believe in TikTok. I get when people do it. I think TikTok is very good for getting views. I don't think it builds an audience. I think it's really kind of separated the content creators from the influencers. And for a while, influencers seemed like such a derogatory term. Almost. Right. It's like, oh, you're just an influencer. But now content creators are, and people think like content creators is the better word, which I'm not saying it's not. There's really talented content creators. But when it comes to like who is influencing car purchases or car buying decisions, I want to stay on the influencer side. I don't want to just be as good as my next viral video. And I feel like that's what TikTok breeds. I also think it has some incredible like cyberbullying, some very horrible things that happen on that app. And I don't want to look at my daughter and I would never let my daughter be on it. So no shade to anyone that's on it. But if TikTok's the thing that takes the car mom down, I'm okay with that. You can find me on Instagram, on Google, on YouTube. I have a podcast. I'm out there. I'm just not on TikTok.
Okay, so we know that, TikTok has a lot of, Gen Z on TikTok. So, this is like the new generation. Myself, I'm a part of Gen Z, going into the dealerships, wanting to, buy their, first car or whatever, if it's a used car, EV, whatever. Do you take the advice that you put out there on Instagram? How do you reach your Gen Z audience is actually what I'm trying to ask you.
Yeah, so one way that we've, that's a really good question. So we actually have been dedicating a lot of our time recently to YouTube Shorts. And there's a lot of like experts in the social field who actually think that YouTube Shorts is going to become the next generation's social media platform, because a lot of parents won't let their kids have TikTok, but they will let them have YouTube. And I think the YouTube algorithm feels a little safer, a little bit more regulated. So we've been reaching some people that way. And then I don't know. I have two Gen Z sisters. They still have Instagram. So I still think they're on there. I think everyone has both platforms, and I agree. I think TikTok will give you the views. I just don't know if it really builds anything more than that. I don't think that you get that same like sense of community or engagement or conversations that you would have being on other platforms.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe their moms will tell them to follow me on Instagram.
Okay, Kelly, so my last question for you is, I find it very admirable whenever I see women in the automotive space. We don't really see that a lot because this is like a male-dominated field. So what advice would you give our viewers who are tuning in right now or just watching this right now? What advice would you give them if, they want to be content creators and they want to focus their niche on a specific space that is very male-dominated, but, they're kind of timid. Yeah. They don't want to do. What advice would you give them?
The advice that I kind of fell into when I was selling cars was I realized I could either spend my time and energy trying to convince people that I was worth it, or that I was smart enough, or that I should be taken to the same level of respect, or I could forget those losers and I could focus on the women, the first-time car buyers, the people who were just going. I don't think there's so many people out there. I don't think you need to work so hard to get everyone to like you. I think instead find a niche that you feel good at. Don't think the niche puts you in a box. It does the opposite. And instead, it gives you such a platform to create content on. Find the niche, stick to it, build an audience. And I just wake up every day and I serve them. I do not serve like the man who thinks that, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't serve him. I serve like the women who are desperate to find the safe car for their families. So you just forget them. And I did the same thing when I was selling cars. Like, you know, I got tired of being asked if I was the receptionist, and I just started being like, okay, no, Brandon's over there. You can work with him. Yeah, he'll take good care of you. And I would take the next up that came in. At some point, I think you just got to let them expire, you know?
Well, great advice, Kelly. Thank you so much again for joining us. Everybody, the Car Mom, Kelly Stumpe. And bye. We'll see you next time.